So today I'm starting a bit of a series, hopefully, what will become a bit of a series. And if you don't want this long introduction and you're just here for the weekly Parsha read through, you can go ahead and skip to this timestamp, which I'll stick here. But I wanted to introduce this by explaining that I've really been meaning to do this because a while ago, as I was looking for a weekly read through of the Parsha in Hebrew, or sorry, in English, but with the Jewish Tanakh, I really couldn't find any great resources. And a lot of what you'll find if you do look for the weekly Parsha read through in English will be actually from Christian sources. I don't know if that's changed since I last looked, but in any case, another reason I'm doing this is because this year I really committed myself to neder, wanting to go more deeply into the Parsha. So last year, what I did was essentially doing all of my Parsha study more or less like on Shabbat. And a lot of that was really based on me working on my Hebrew reading, which is still a little bit on the slow side. So every Shabbat, what I would do is read the entire Parsha all the way through in Hebrew. And that was the bulk of where my energy went. And so this year I decided not to leave it all in one sitting because it's honestly just not as enjoyable. You obviously can't go as deeply if you're just doing it all in one shot. So what I decided to do is actually go more deeply into each parsha. I'm doing one aliyah a day, and since today is Sunday, I'm doing my full read through in English so that I start my week off with the entire story and just having a general overview for what I'm actually reading. That way, as I do read each aliyah every day, both in English and particularly in Hebrew, I can actually catch words and understand phrases and link what I'm reading in Hebrew to the English because I'll have the entire story, the entire parsha in mind. So that is what I'm intending to do with you guys. I hope this will become a bit of a series, again, like I said, because I don't think there are a lot of great resources to find of the weekly parsha, just simply read through in Hebrew. Sorry, I keep saying that in English. So Bezrat Hashem, at some point, I'll be able to share my read-throughs in Hebrew, but it's a little bit tedious because my Hebrew is still quite slow. So today I'm going to start. I'm reading, so I kind of have I have two Humashim here. So I do have this nice big interlinear Humash, which is better for, sorry, it's kind of blurred, better for just understanding the Hebrew or just being able to map out the words. And I do think that the commentary is also different here than the other edition I have, which is the Stone Edition Chumash, both from Art Scroll. So this one is what I'll use to actually read. And as a little bonus, afterward, I'm going to read Ramchal on the Parsha. And this is a new thing I started this year as well. So far, I only have the Bereshit, so I'll have to keep buying the next editions. But this one has been really interesting. I just love the Ramchal. And for each Parsha, I believe there are about three different essays inside. So just like 2 to 3 pages long. So I'm going to read this afterward. And in case you're here because you're just looking also to step up your Parsha game, I also got this really cute set. I just have the first one here, but it's a set of 5 little books like this. This is Daily Aliyah, and what I really like is that it has little insights for each aliyah. So after I read each aliyah every day, check this out as well. And it's always a nice way to cap what I just studied. So today is Sunday, November 17th, 2024, and we're on Parashat Chayei Sarah. And so I'm going to start here, and I want to apologize in advance for any mispronunciations. I'm going to do my best, but some words here in the Chumash, especially mostly names, are still in Hebrew. So please pardon any mispronunciations. Parashat Chayei Sarah. Sarah's lifetime was 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years, the years of Sarah's life. Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, which is in Hebron in the land of Canaan, and Abraham came to eulogize Sarah and to bewail her. Abraham rose up from the presence of his dead and spoke to the children of Het, saying, I am an alien and a resident among you. Grant me an estate for a burial site with you, that I may bury my dead from before me. And the children of Het answered Abraham, saying to him, Here is my Lord, you are a prince of God in our midst. In the choices of our burial places, bury your dead. Any of us will not withhold his burial place from you, from burying your dead. Then Abraham rose up and bowed down to the members of the council, to the children of Het. He spoke to them, saying, If it is truly your will to bury my dead from before me, heed me and intercede for me. With Ephron, son of Zohar, let him grant me the cave of Machpelah, which is his, on the edge of his field. Let him grant it to me for its full price, in your midst as an estate for a burial site. Now Ephron was sitting in the midst of the children of Het, and Ephron the Hittite responded to Abraham in the hearing of the children of Het, for all who come to the gate of his city, saying, No, my lord, heed me. I have given you the field, and as for the cave that is in it, I have given it to you. In the view of the children of my people have I given it to you. Bury your dead. So Abraham bowed down before the members of the council. He spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the members of the council, saying, Rather, if only you would heed me, I give the price of the field, accept it from me, that I may bury my dead there. And Ephron replied to Abraham, saying, My lord, heed me. Land worth 400 silver shekels between me and you. What is it? Bury your dead. Abraham heeded Ephron, and Abraham weighed out to Ephron the price which he had mentioned in the hearing of the children of Het, 400 silver shekels in negotiable currency, and Ephron's field, which was in Machpelah, facing Mamre. The field and the cave within it, and all the trees in the field, within all its surrounding boundaries, was confirmed as Abraham's as a purchase in the view of the children of Het, among all whom came to the gate of his city. And afterwards Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah facing Mamre, which is in Hebron in the land of Canaan. Thus the field with its cave was confirmed as Abraham's as an estate for a burial site from the children of Het. Now Abraham was old, well on in years, and Hashem had blessed Abraham with everything. And Abraham said to his servant, the elder of his household, who controls all that is his, Place now your hand upon under my thigh, and I will have you swear by Hashem, God of heaven and God of earth, that you not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell. Rather, to my land and to my kindred shall you go and take a wife for my son, for Yitzchak. The servant said to him, Perhaps the woman shall not wish to follow me to this land. Shall I take your son back to the land from which you departed? Abraham answered him, Beware not to return my son to there. Hashem, God of heaven, who took me from the house of my father and from the land of my birth, who spoke concerning me, and who swore to me, saying, To your offspring will I give this land. He will send his angel before you, and you will take a wife for my son from there. But if the woman will not wish to follow you, you shall then be absolved of this oath of mine. However, do not return my son to there. So the servant placed his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master, and swore to him regarding this matter. Then the servant took 10 camels of his master's camels, and set out with all the bounty of his master in his hand, and made his way to Aram Naharaim, to the city of Nahor. He made the camels kneel down outside the city toward a well of water at evening time, the time when the women who draw water come out. And he said, Hashem, God of my master Abraham, may you so arrange it for me this day that you do kindness with my master Abraham. Behold, I am standing by the spring of water, and the daughters of the townsmen came out to draw water. Let it be that the maiden to whom I shall say, Please tip over your jug so I may drink, and who replies, Drink, and I will even water your camels. Her will you have designated for your servant, for Yitzchak, and may I know through her that you have done kindness with my master. And it was when he had not yet finished speaking that suddenly Rivkah was coming out, she who had been born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, brother of Abraham, with her jug upon her shoulder. Now the maiden was very fair to look upon, a virgin whom no man had known. She descended to the spring, filled her jug, and ascended. The servant ran toward her and said, Let me sip, if you please, a little water from your jug. She said, Drink, my lord, and quickly she lowered her jug to her hand and gave him to drink. When she finished giving him to drink, she said, I will draw water even for your camels until they have finished drinking. So she hurried and emptied her jug into the trough and kept running to the well to draw water, and she drew for all his camels. The man was astonished at her, reflecting silently to know whether Hashem had made his journey successful or not. And it was, when the camels had finished drinking, the man took a golden nose ring. Its weight was a bekah, and 2 bracelets on her arms. 10 gold shekels was their weight. And he said, Whose daughter are you? Pray tell me, is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night? She said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor. And she said to him, Even straw and feed are plentiful with us, as well as place to lodge. So the man bowed low and prostrated himself to Hashem. He said, Blessed is Hashem, God of my master Abraham, who has not withheld his kindness and truth from my master. As for me, Hashem has guided me on the way to the house of my master's brothers. The maiden ran and told her mother's household according to these events. Rivkah had a brother whose name was Lavan. Lavan ran to the man outside to the spring, for upon seeing the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's hands, and upon hearing his sister Rivkah's words, saying, Thus has the man spoken to me, he approached the man who was still standing by the camels by the spring. He said, Come, O blessed of Hashem, why should you stand outside when I have cleared the house and place for the camels? So the man entered the house and unmuzzled the camels. He gave straw and feed for the camels, and water to bathe his feet and the feet of the men who were with him. Food was set before him, and he said, I will not eat until I've spoken my piece. And he said, Speak. Then he said, A servant of Abraham am I. Hashem has greatly blessed my master, and he prospered. He has given him flocks, cattle, silver and gold, servants and maidservants, camels and donkeys. Sarah, my master's wife, bore my master's son after she had grown old. And he gave him all that he possesses. And my master had me take an oath, saying, Do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I dwell, unless you go to my father's house and to my family, and take a wife for my son. And I said to my master, Perhaps the woman will not follow me. He replied to me, Hashem, before whom I have walked, will send his angel with you and make your journey successful, and you will take a wife for my son from my family and my father's house. Then you will be absolved from my oath when you have come to my family. And if they will not give her to you, then you shall be absolved from my oath. I came today to the spring and said, Hashem, God of my master Abraham, if you would graciously make successful the way on which I go. Behold, I am standing by the spring of water. Let it be that the young woman who comes out to draw, and to whom I shall say, Please give me some water to drink from your jug, and who will answer, You may also drink, and I will draw water for your camels too. She shall be the woman whom Hashem has designated for my master's son. I had not yet finished meditating when suddenly Rivka came out with a jug on her shoulder and descended to the spring and drew water. Then I said to her, Please give me a drink. She hurried and lowered her jug from upon herself and said, Drink, and I will even water your camels. So I drank, and she watered the camels also. Then I questioned her, and I said, Whose daughter are you? And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, son of Nahor, whom Milcah bore to him. And I placed a ring on her nose and the bracelets on her hands. Then I bowed and prostrated myself to Hashem, and blessed Hashem, God of my master Abraham, who led me on a true path to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. And now, if you intend to do kindness and truth with my master, tell me. And if not, tell me, and I will turn to the right or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, The matter stemmed from Hashem. We can say to you neither bad nor good. Here, Rivka is before you. Take her and go, and let her be a wife to your master's son, as Hashem has spoken. And it was when Abraham's servant heard their words, he prostrated himself to the ground to Hashem. The servant brought out objects of silver and gold and garments, and gave them to Rivka. And delicious fruits he gave to her brother and her mother. They ate and drank, he and the men who were with him. And they spent the night. When they arose next morning, and he said, Send me to my master. Her brother and mother said, Let the maiden remain with us a year or 10 months, then she will go. He said to them, Do not delay me now that Hashem had made my journey successful. Send me, and I will go to my master. And they said, Let us call the maiden and ask her decision. Then they called Rivka and said to her, Will you go with this man? And she said, I will go. So they escorted Rivka, their sister, and her nurse, as well as Abraham's servant and his men. They blessed Rivka and said to her, Our sister, may you come to be thousands of myriads, and may our offspring inherit the gates of its foes. Then Rivka rose with her maidens. They rode upon the camels and proceeded after the man. The servant took Rivka and went. Now Yitzhak came from having gone to Ber Lahairoi, for he dwelt in the south country. Yitzhak went out to supplicate in the field towards evening, and he raised his eyes and saw, and behold, camels were coming. And Rivka raised her eyes and saw Yitzhak. She inclined while upon the camel, and she said to the servant, Who is that man walking in the field toward us? And the servant said, He is my master. Then she took the veil and covered herself. The servant told Yitzhak all the things he had done, and Yitzhak brought her into the tent of Sarah his mother. He married Rivka, she became his wife, and he loved her. And thus was Yitzhak consoled after his mother. Abraham proceeded and took a wife whose name was Keturah. She bore him Zimran, Yoksan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Yoksan begot Sheva and Dedan, and the children of Dedan were Ashurim, Letzushim, and Leumim, and the children of Midian, Ephah and Epher, Hanoch, Abidah, and Eldaah. All these were the descendants of Keturah. Abraham gave all that he had to Yitzhak, but to the concubine children who were Abraham's, Abraham gave gifts. Then he sent them away from Yitzhak his son, while he was still alive, eastward to the land of the east. Now these are the days of the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 100 years, 70 years, and 5 years. And Abraham expired and died at a good old age, mature and content, and he was gathered to his people. His sons Yitzchak and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, facing Mamre, the field that Abraham had brought from the children of Het. There Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. And it was after the death of Abraham that God blessed Yitzchak his son, and Yitzchak settled near Ber Lahairoi. These are the descendants of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's maidservant, bore to Abraham. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names, in order of their birth. Ishmael's firstborn, Nebayot, Kedar, Abdil, and Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, and Massa, Hadad and Tema, Yatur, Naphish, and Kedem. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their open cities and by their strongholds, 12 chieftains for their nations. These were the years of Ishmael's life, 137 years, when he expired and died and was gathered to his people. They dwelt from Havilah to Shur, which is near Egypt, toward Assyria. Over all his brothers he dwelt. So I warned you about the pronunciations. I hope I did decently. So we're going to move on to Ramchal and just get some interesting insights on Chayei Sarah. So as I started to read the Ramchal, I was actually realizing that perhaps it's not the most user-friendly for a general audience. I'm actually not going to share the Ramchal, but it is something that I enjoy reading after I do my Parsha study. So I hope that was helpful for you. I hope that you enjoyed the read-through. I apologize again for some of my mispronunciations. I'm going to have to definitely look up how to say Mamre, which was a little bit of a struggle for me. But I hope you enjoyed that. And I encourage you all to really dig into the weekly Parsha. It's a really great way to be in sync with the Jewish cycle, really being reading the Torah, learning the Torah with all of Am Yisrael on a cycle, I think is just a wonderful thing to do. And if you are so motivated to do so, I think it's also great to actually read Aliyah by Aliyah every day, so you have a little bit of insight, a day at a time. So I hope, bli neder, I will do this again next week, and I hope you guys have a really wonderful, beautiful week. Shavua tov.